Hello, and welcome to this brief podcast recording with Royal Berglee, a new Flat World Knowledge author, with his new textbook, World Regional Geography, People, Places, and Globalization. Hi, Royal.
Hi, Sharon.
So let's get started today by opening with our first question for you, which is what made you decide to write a textbook for World Regional Geography?
I considered writing a textbook when my current textbook that I was using was no longer in print, and their textbook, a university bookstore, would no longer stock it. I had been forced to adopt a new version, and I really didn't need or want it. The new version of the textbook that I was forced to use cost my students a lot more money, and it didn't change anything about how I taught the course or what the students were reading. A new version of the textbook really wasn't necessary for what I taught the course. I wanted the textbook that would be in print for a longer period of time and low cost to my students. And I started writing this textbook about 5 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. And I charge my students only $25 for the textbook. And even after a number of updates, my students are still getting a bargain book, and I have the textbook that I like.
That's great. So you ended up starting this textbook prior to probably us coming to you, which is interesting. Maybe you can tell our listeners a little bit about kind of what your textbook does that other textbooks for World Regional Geography do.
Well, I wanted a textbook that would be more student-orientated. Not that the others aren't excellent. We have some excellent world geography textbooks in the market, but they seem to be more encyclopedia-type textbooks and a little less user-friendly for students. People, Places, and Globalization is a textbook that was written with students in mind. It's easy to read. The format is straightforward. It utilizes real-life examples, up-to-date material. The concepts, theories, and principles are written in a more of a straightforward manner without the jargon or complicated language. I like the fact that a textbook can be designed for both non-geography majors and geography majors in the discipline. And I felt that the textbook that I really needed and wanted, I wanted more flexibility with it. In this case, the chapters are structured in sections that can be studied independently or can be studied with the rest of the chapter. So it provides the students with a really easy learning curve. They have learning objectives at the beginning of the chapter, steady review summaries at the end, and steady questions for students. I think instructors who adopt this book will find it easy to fit with their style of management. It works with my structure and format. It's user-friendly, and students find it really easy to understand and follow, and yet it provide a high retention for the material. So it just works for me.
That's great. That's great. So you obviously could have chosen to not publish it with a publisher, or you could have chosen to publish it with any of the other number of publishers out there today. We're thrilled, obviously, that you chose to publish with us at Flat World. What made you decide to do that?
Well, I had a number of publishers interested in publishing this textbook, and I did work with them. It just that I could never really come to terms with an agreement with them because I felt I wanted this textbook to be low price for students. My textbook before I went to Flat World was selling for $25, which is not necessarily a moneymaker, and that's something that the high-priced textbook authors or publishers would not agree with. When I discovered Flat World, I was amazed to realize that all the issues that I had with high-priced textbooks that were out of print quickly were shared by other faculty, members, and students. Um, the idea that Flat World understood the textbook situation, we're already working with this solutions. Flat World Knowledge was a perfect fit for my textbook. My textbook was written years before I even heard of Flat World. But when I heard of Flat World, they seemed to be exactly what I was looking for. And I think there's a couple important aspects of Flat World that make it exceptional. The first was that faculty members can edit, revise, and update the book to fit their teaching style or course objectives. If they don't use a section, they can delete it. They can edit it or to meet their needs. They can even add their own material if they want. That's an excellent tool for faculty to create a textbook that can be very suited to how they teach that course. The second reason I really liked Flat World was that students who are in a course where the instructor adopts a textbook can access the online version at no cost. There's nothing better than a free textbook. That's excellent, and even print copies of the textbook, which a lot of students do demand, are reasonably and low priced. I really appreciated that. The the publishing concept that Flat World is based upon fills the void that faculty really are looking for. We need flexibility. We need utility. Our students need to have a textbook that isn't overpriced, that doesn't go out of print every other year. The publishing concept that Flat World is based upon seems to really fill a void that we need. The flexibility, the utility, the creative way that Flat World makes their textbook available to the market is needed and welcome. Every Flat World or textbook that Flat World publishes is also extensively peer-reviewed. These are reviewed for content and scholarship. We want faculty and students to have a quality product. We want to have that available to them at a reasonable price. So I'm really pleased with Flat World. The staff and personnel have been great to work with. They made me feel like we were part of a team. They shared a common mission and goal. I mean, writing a textbook is a lot of work. But when you work with a publisher that understands your mission and what you want to do with your textbook, and are working toward the same objective, it really makes a difference. I'm very pleased to be working with Flat World.
Oh, that's fantastic. And we obviously are thrilled to death to have you on board with us. And we love to work with our authors who are as passionate as you are about the mission that we're on to kind of change the face of, or I should say, change what students and what instructors and authors expect from their publisher. So with that, I'd like to thank you, Royal, for your time. I'd like to thank our listeners for their time today. And of course, Royal, for your dedication to your discipline and for writing this brand new textbook, World Regional Geography, People, Places, and Global